Hello and welcome back to Touch Football, and today I'm going to be predicting the final Premier League match week, and with everything but the relegation battle sewn up, who do you think is going to get relegated? Hold on, what's this? Sevilla hat, this is a Premier League video, get out of it. Alright, Brentford versus Man City. So here's the thing, neither team have anything to play for here. This is going to be a boring, dull game. I mean, I say Brentford have nothing to play for. When Europe is on the line for them, I just think it's too slim of a possibility considering they need both Aston Villa and Tottenham to drop points on this final game week. However, keeping on trend with Brentford being absolute giant killers this season, I do think there's a result for them here. And I do think that in this game, City, they won't be too bold with it. They've run the league. They're just going to be giving some players a rest, whereas they're going to be raising the fitness of other players, keeping them sharp in preparation for the FA Cup and UCL finals they've got coming up soon. With that in mind, I think Brentford are actually going to get a result for themselves here. It won't be enough to get them into Europe, but I think Brentford will secure a 1-0 win with most likely Brian Mbeumo getting on the score sheet. Arsenal versus Wolves. Another game where there's nothing to play for here for either team, but from an Arsenal perspective, this is honestly just sad, lads, because little over a month ago, tickets for this game against Wolves at Molineux, they were being sold for thousands of pounds, but now I guess they're back to their normal prices because Arsenal cannot win the league. Been that way for the last few game weeks because they had a complete and utter collapse. That's the only way you can put it. So at this point, it's just another game for Arsenal. However, I do think that it's important for them to have a good game and just prove that they still got it and give them something positive to go into next season with. However, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I really don't think they're going to beat Wolves on this final weekend. So I think this entire Arsenal team are just completely blown out. And I think they'll stumble to yet another draw this season. Bukayo Saka will finally turn up again after what seemed like months. He'll get a goal, but I think other than that, it's going to be a boring game. Diego Costa, he'll score one before half time. It'll be a 1-1 draw. And lads, don't even bother watching the second half. It is going to be boring. Aston Villa versus Brighton. Brighton have already secured Europa League football, and honestly, what a job De Zerbi has done. He is a massive upgrade on Graham Potter, who plays a brand of boring football that is so boring, I'd honestly rather scrape my eyeballs out of their sockets than watch him play, as he proved at both Chelsea and Brighton. So though Brighton did get some good results with Potter, they were a pretty boring team to watch as well. Seriously, well done De Zerbi, because since he's been in charge of Brighton, they've been one of the most exciting teams in Europe to watch here. However, should also credit Unai Emery, because after he took over that Steven Gerrard car crash, he's managed to turn this Villa team into contenders for Europe. They're looking to get Conference League football on this final game, and I think they will actually do it. They've got a good record against Brighton, actually beat them earlier this season, and I think one of Emery's, if not his first game at Villa, at least in the Premier League. And I think Ollie Watkins is going to get a brace to push Aston Villa into Europe. However, I do think that Undav is going to keep scoring as he has recently, despite other horrifically poor performances this season. I do think he's going to get one, but it'll just be a late consolation for Brighton as Villa secure European football as well. Southampton versus Liverpool. A nothing game here. Southampton already relegated. Liverpool are going to get 5th, so I'm just going to go for a routine 3-0 Liverpool win that you would have seen from the Liverpool of the past, because they finished the season strongly here, and I think they're going to continue that to give them something positive to go into next season after such an abysmal season so far this year. I think that Gakpo will get one, he's been on form recently. Nunes will either start or come off the bench and score a header or something like that. And I think Salah will convert a late penalty in the game where Southampton have just already given up. Chelsea versus Newcastle, 0-0. Honestly, it's just going to be a rubbish game. 0-0 draw with neither team bothering to push on to win because Newcastle, they've secured their Champions League. Obviously, their fans would like to end their brilliant season with a bang, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be an incredibly boring game and honestly, 0-0 draw. And if you're thinking about watching this game, don't. Man United versus Fulham. Right, so United have secured Champions League footy, and Fulham have guaranteed a top half finish in what's been a brilliant first season back in the Premier League for them. However, I don't think they're going to finish the season in a positive way as most of their season has gone. I think United, after thumping Chelsea, and especially considering they're so good at home, they'll end up with a fairly easy 3-1 win here. I think Bruno Fernandes, he'll up himself to a brace. And other than that, I think Tim Ream, even though he's had a good season, he's going to fumble one in over the line from his own corner, and it's going to be an own goal for him, unfortunately. Although, I do think Fulham will get one back with probably a Mitrovic towering header or something from a corner. Maybe a penalty. I reckon Mitrovic will get one back where, despite his ridiculous red card incident, he will cap off a brilliant season for him personally. Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace. And I actually think out of all the games this weekend, this one is going to be the one that's going to be an absolute thriller. Which is weird because neither of these teams actually have anything to play for here. Both of them have secured their safety, but recently Nottingham Forest have been absolutely fired up. Tyrone Nui is banging in goals, and Morgan Gibbs-White as well is on absolute scintillating form. However, Palace, since Roy Hodgson has come in, they have been scoring goals, and they've also been on form. Eze, Elise, Zaha, that front three is working perfectly. Even Edouard, who was thought to have been a flop for a while, got on the score sheet last weekend. So, for this game, considering Eze got his call up, I think that's going to help boost morale of the entire Palace squad. He'll be full of confidence. I'm actually going to go for a 5-3 Crystal Palace win. For Forest, Owen will bag yet another brace for him, which will be like the third brace in 4 games. And I also think Felipe will probably score from a corner. But for Crystal Palace, I reckon Eze will also get a brace. He scores quite a few of those. Whenever he scores, he always seems to get a second. Don't know why that is. And I also think Zaha will get one from the spot. I reckon he'll get a penalty. I think Elise will also bag one. And Edouard is going to make it 2-2 and also score a goal here. I actually really think that everyone should try and watch this game. I think it's going to be an absolute treat. And if it's not, I apologise. Alright, now the games for the 3 teams fighting relegation. Firstly, Spurs versus Leeds. And in such a crucial game for both team seasons, I think Nerves will get the better of them. Leeds need to stay up. Spurs need to try and get into Europe. But I think Nerves will seriously get the better of them. Neither team will be good enough. There'll be loads of missed chances, there'll be glaring mistakes, maybe even a red card or something like that in there. I think it'll be an absolutely rubbish game that's going to end 0-0, which will see Leeds back in the Championship after trying to get out of it so long. After just 3 seasons, they're going back down on just 32 points. Sorry, Leeds fans. And of course, that means no European football for Spurs either. Everton versus Bournemouth. This game at Goodison Park, I think there will be an electric atmosphere as Everton hunt for a win that will keep them in the Premier League for next season. And I think Everton will do it. Over the last few seasons, they've made a habit of surviving very late in the season. This time it's going to be on the final day. I think they're going to do it. Like Bournemouth, they have had a brilliant season since they sacked Scott Parker. Gary O'Neill has done a ridiculous job for realistically such an underqualified man for the job. He's done really well, but I think at times they have been guilty of being soft at the back. And just like Everton did at the Annex, I think back at Goodison Park, their final home game, their final game of the season, I think they're going to absolutely turn it on. A 4-goal win is going to be 4-0 to Everton. I think McNeil's going to score again. I think you're going to have... Who's going to score? Yerry Mina's going to get on the score sheet for the second game in a row. Got Dwight McNeil, Iwobi and Tarkowski will all get on the score sheet. Those 4 scorers will get a goal each. Bournemouth, they don't really care. They're on the beach, and yeah, it will be an easy win for Everton that will see them survive. Unfortunately, that means that Leicester will be relegated. And lads, I don't want this to happen. I love Leicester as a football club and what they've brought to the Premier League. The stories they've created and had for us to spectate from are absolutely brilliant. The Great Escape originally that then led on to the absolute miracle of 2015-16 with them winning the title. And then later on they had a brilliant run in the FA Cup, beating Chelsea in the final. And that was such a brilliant story after a horrific helicopter incident with their owner's son, then being able to take them to some silverware. It was absolutely brilliant. However, I just don't think they've been good enough this season, and that's going to repeat again here against West Ham, who have looked much more solid in the second half of the season. So I think it is going to be a 2-1 win to West Ham. Vardy is going to score early in the game to give Leicester all the hope they need. Their fans will be buzzing. but then there's going to be an utter collapse as Bowen and Ben Rama, double B action. They're going to score a goal each that will relegate the Foxes back down to the Championship. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.